Berezniki Perm-Krai, 1,600 kilometers in a straight line from Kharkiv, Ukraine. The fire at Russia's largest nitrogen plant, which produces components for explosives, was no accident. Ukrainian long-range missiles struck the factory. Kiev showed the Flamingo missiles a few weeks ago. It was a sign of a change in the rules of the game in this war, because until now, only Russia could harass the Ukrainian rare area.
The maximum range is 3,000 kilometers confirmed, with an accuracy of 14 meters to target on this distance. The maximum speed is 900 kilometers per hour. The cruise speed can vary, and this I will not disclose. And the payload capacity is, in the moment, 1,150 kilograms.
The problem is that the Ukrainians could only identify targets for attack based on their own intelligence. While their allies help them monitor movements on the front lines, what is happening deep inside Russia has so far remained beyond the reach of the Ukrainian army. However, this is about to change. As revealed by the Wall Street Journal, the White House has given the green light to share intelligence, including satellite imagery of the entire Russian Federation, with the Ukrainian army. The United States will provide Ukraine with intelligence data, enabling long-range missile strikes on Russian energy infrastructure, U.S. officials said, as the Trump administration considers sending Kyiv powerful weapons that could increase the range of attacks on more targets in Russia. These powerful weapons are, of course, Tomahawk missiles, which became the talk of the town shortly after the Zelensky-Trump meeting on the sidelines of the UN summit 2 weeks ago. Regardless of what kind of missiles they will be, combined with intelligence data, they could deal a heavy blow to the Russians. We did well to crush the Russian oil industry with our deep strikes. Now they are forced to import gasoline. They have a gasoline deficit, so we can raise the stakes and finish the job with more precise strikes, or start working on the companies that supply the Russian armed forces. The Kremlin's reactions are the best evidence of how serious a change in the situation, not so much on the front itself as in the Russian model of warfare such strikes can be. From downplaying the information, through offers of talks with the Americans and Kyiv, to threats of escalation against all those involved in helping Ukraine, including, of course, Poland. Putin himself discussed, among other things, the history of Polish-Soviet relations and the alleged mistakes by Polish politicians who did not agree to Germany's concessions in 1939. There was also a lot about Europe, the United States, and the fact that he is not the one to blame for anything bad. All this took place within the framework of the Valdai Club, Putin's revived discussion club, which a decade ago also attracted Polish politicians. Unfortunately, Polish politicians such as Adam Michnik, Leszek Miller, and Andrzej Rozenek were also invited to these meetings. This was also one of Vladimir Putin's actions, who wanted to install people in Poland who would think in a pro-Soviet way, people who might form a political party that would support the Russian Federation, as we have in some other countries of Central and Eastern Europe. Today, Putin mainly talks to himself. The image campaign is intended to prepare people in Russia for what is inevitably coming. Until now, war has been something distant for the residents of Moscow and St. Petersburg, something overlooked and seen only in Kremlin propaganda. Power, water, and heat outages may be a stark reminder of the ongoing war. At the same time, Russia continues to test its opponent. After Denmark and Norway, groups of drones have now been observed in Germany and Belgium. In Munich, air traffic was suspended for several hours because of this, while in Elsenborn, a dozen or so drones flew over a Belgian military base. According to European services, everything indicates that this is a coordinated action to test response mechanisms. A speeding car and a knife attack. The attacker in Manchester used a pattern well known in European cities. He killed 2 people and 3 others are in serious condition.
Based on what we know, counter-terrorism policing has declared this as a terrorist incident.
The perpetrator is 35-year-old Jihad al-Shami, a British citizen of Syrian origin. His name was not on the PREVENT program list, which is designed to support the fight against terrorism in the United Kingdom. 2 other men and a woman were detained as part of the investigation.
Absolutely terrified. And our neighbour across the road, he goes to the synagogue and he was telling us what was going on. And it's just absolutely frightening because I'm scared for my own safety.
The timing of the attack was not accidental. It took place during the Jewish holiday of Yom Kippur, which attracted many people here. There could have been many more victims if it weren't for the security guard who stopped the attacker from entering the synagogue.
The government has stepped up security at synagogues across the whole of the country, and we will do whatever is required to keep our Jewish community safe. I know that there are many questions that are still to be answered, and rest assured they will be answered as quickly as possible.
After years of relative calm, fears are growing of a new wave of attacks by Islamic extremists, not only in the UK, but across Europe. Intelligence officials fear that the attack is unlikely to be a single incident. Much of the data suggests that the global terrorist threat has reached its highest level in 7 years. Last year, incidents were reported in at least 66 countries, the highest number since 2018. On Wednesday, 3 men suspected of belonging to the Palestinian Hamas and planning a terrorist attack in Germany were arrested in Berlin. Recently, another call by fighters of the so-called Islamic State for attacks in Europe appeared on the internet. It would be revenge for the war in the Gaza Strip. The Islamic State is calling for lone wolf attacks in France in retaliation for the war in the Gaza Strip. ISIS is directing its appeal primarily at young Muslims in the West, urging them to kill Christians and Jews by any means necessary. It cannot be ruled out that Islamic extremists may be used by Putin's Russia to destabilize Western countries. Indonesian rescue workers have found the bodies of 5 more students under the rubble of a collapsed school. This brings the death toll from Monday's building collapse to 13. 54 people are still missing. Families are still hoping for a miracle. The tragedy occurred just before the start of afternoon prayers at a school in the city of Sidoarjo on the island of Yawa. During construction work, the top 3 floors collapsed, crushing the students gathered in the chapel. At around 7:30 a.m., we found the body of one of our students. A few minutes later, rescuers came across the body of another. Both were found in the same place. Rescuers said the search for survivors would continue, even though equipment with special sensors was not detecting any signs of life. There are many places where we are conducting the search, but in one place, our equipment has most likely located more people. We don't know if they are alive. The equipment is silent. Therefore, we ask for your prayers so that we can reach them this afternoon and rescue them. The families of the victims still hope to find them alive. My child was screaming, "Mom, the school collapsed." At first I didn't believe it, but I ran there and didn't expect it to be so bad. I hope my son survives. Everyone knows that construction and renovation work requires a safe zone to be cordoned off. Our question is, why were classes being held at the school during the construction of an additional floor, especially when concrete was being poured? More than 100 boys aged 12 to 19 were studying at the school. I have already come to terms with the fact that the worst has happened. I can only pray that my child who died will have a happy afterlife. Heavy equipment has already been sent to the site of the tragedy, 770 kilometers from the capital, Jakarta. There are no signs of life, and this has been explained to the families. Even if we bring in bulldozers and excavators, we will be very, very careful. The school collapsed on Monday when its foundations could not withstand the construction work on the upper floors. The building collapsed, burying more than 60 students under the rubble. More than 100 were rescued, most of whom are in the hospital. Duchess Kate visited the RAF base for the first time, namely the Royal Air Force Coningsby, serving as Royal Honorary Air Force Commander. She took up this position in August 2023, taking over from Prince William. During her visit, Duchess Kate learned about the base's activities, including NATO support operations on the eastern flank, among others in Poland. She took advantage of a fighter jet simulator flight. The Duchess listened to a presentation on the Royal Air Force Station's recent missions. As usual, Kate's good mood, energy, and style were widely commented on in the media. One of the elements that attracted attention was the gold RAF brooch with wings pinned to her jacket. The Duchess also wore diamond and sapphire earrings that had previously belonged to Princess Diana. At the end of the visit, the wife of the heir to the throne met with base personnel and their families.